With 2025 coming to an end, let's go ahead and get into the year that it was. Starting off with January, we had a major wildfire that devastated parts of Southern California, including the Eaton Fire and Palisades Fire around LA, alongside a significant blizzard that impacted the eastern part of the country from January 5th through 6th. I do remember the blizzard we came in on, and the major winter storm here out east. We had to dig out for quite a while, and we dealt with some very frigid air. Now, an interesting fact about this fire in California was it occurred during an unusually dry, windy winter period, marking one of the most destructive winter fire episodes in the state history. They even didn't have any water either because of government negligence, so shame on California for how they handled this. And of course, the wildfires resulted in approximately 30 deaths and destroyed or damaged thousands of structures, contributing to billions of dollars in damages, and a lot of structures still haven't been rebuilt even a year after this event. Next, February, we had some severe thunderstorms that produced early tornadic activity, including a notable event in Tennessee alongside continued cold and wintry conditions in parts of the South. Interesting fact about this is one early February tornado impacted mobile homes in Deer Lodge, Tennessee, marking the year's first confirmed tornadic fatalities. And at least 2 fatalities and several injuries were directly attributed to an EF2 tornado in this period, and this was the kickstart to a very active severe weather season. And as we can see, in March, we had an exceptionally active tornado outbreak from the 13th through 16th time frame, which affected a wide swath of the Midwest, South, and Southeast, which set records for March activity. And we also had a tornado not too far from us. This is a picture I took. Looked to be a funnel cloud just north of us. We missed out on a tornado in March, and we'll get into another tornado that almost hit us in May here in a little bit. But the interesting fact about this is this outbreak stands as the most active March tornado events on record, with widespread severe thunderstorms extending to the East Coast. And this year's severe weather season was very, very wild, from anything from flooding to tornadoes, but we'll get into the rest of the months here in a little bit. But interesting side about this is it produced dozens of tornadoes, caused 43 fatalities, including 23 tornadic, over 200 injuries, and approximately $11 billion in damage. Continuing on into April here, a prolonged severe weather system from April 2nd through 7th generated a devastating tornado outbreak combined with historic flash flooding across the southern and midwestern states. The Storm Prediction Center issued a rare high-risk outlook for multiple days, leading to one of the most widespread and intense early spring severe weather events in recent decades. Over 150 tornadoes were confirmed, contributing to billions of dollars in damage and significant agricultural losses. And there was also flooding as well, as you can see here. During that same time frame, we had significant flash flooding across the Midwest and South, particularly in the Ohio River valleys, which stretched down into the Mississippi. Heavy rainfall overwhelmed areas like Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana, and Arkansas, for example. The slow-moving storm systems stalled over this region for several days, producing rainfall rates that led rapid river rises and inundated notable sites such as bourbon distilleries in Kentucky, surrounded by floodwaters. Some locations even received 10 to 15 inches or even more of rain during this period, resulting in major flooding along rivers like the Kentucky and Ohio. This event contributed to at least 16 to 24 fatalities across affected states, numerous water rescues, and widespread infrastructure impacts, including road closures and evacuations. And as a side note, my weather station wasn't working at the time, so I was using the CoCoRaHS rain gauge. And I think we got in on, 9 inches of rain. I could be wrong, but we did get in on a lot of rain. I remember that night in April, just coming down like cats and dogs, and it wouldn't even let up at all, and it was just crazy. I remember the radio going off with those flash flood warnings, and it was crazy back in April. And really, this spring was just nuts as far as weather goes anyway, and we could see that in 2026. I'll have a spring severe weather outlook, most likely in February, I would say, so stay tuned for that. Now, May, we also had some more severe weather, and we also had a tornado that really came close to hitting us, hence this picture down here that I took back in May of a funnel cloud that actually spawned a tornado. We got lucky. It was just a big old wall cloud at the time, and it just spun over us and didn't affect us any, but we got lucky. So back in May, multiple tornado outbreaks struck the Mississippi and Ohio River valleys, including a notable event on May 15th through 16th, producing strong tornadoes in Kentucky and Illinois, and even here in Indiana. An EF4 tornado in London, Kentucky during mid-May ranks among the deadliest single tornadoes of the year. One outbreak alone produced over 60 tornadoes with at least 19 fatalities from the Kentucky event. Definitely was a very active severe weather season, like I said earlier, and we actually drove through this area when we were heading to Gatlinburg during Independence Day, and yeah, they got some significant damage down there, to say the least, and it was sad there were some fatalities, mainly because this was a nighttime event. So can't stress enough, definitely when there's a tornado warning, definitely seek shelter, basement, closet, interior, and away from windows, and because this is the reason why. And really, there's some tornadoes you can seek shelter from and you'd be just fine, but really there's some tornadoes that you really can't. But it's best to seek shelter than not seek shelter is all I'm trying to say here. Now, shifting gears from May to June, we went from severe weather to extreme heat rapidly. So you can see record heat affected the central and eastern part of the country, along with a rare violent tornado in North Dakota, which was a EF5 on June 20th. So I can see the first time that we've had an EF5 in over 12 years. And an unusually strong high-pressure ridge broke numerous temperature records across millions of people in the central and eastern part of the country. So we went from severe weather to extreme heat very, very rapidly. And of course, in July, we were on vacation at this time in Gatlinburg, but while there was a major catastrophic flash flooding event that struck the Texas Hill Country from July 4th through 7th along the Guadalupe, the rapid rise of rivers during the holiday period caught many off guard, including campers, and at least 135 fatalities occurred, marking one of the deadliest inland flooding events in U.S. history. So my heart goes out to those who were lost during that event. Definitely a very catastrophic event for y'all down there, and it was all sudden too. So, and then August to September, it was very, very quiet out there. I remember we came in on a very quiet pattern, although it was very, very hot. It was just, there was nothing going on. And we can see here that severe thunderstorms and localized flooding continued, with limited major nationwide events reported in these transitional months. So pretty much nothing happened between August and September. October through November, the hurricane season concluded with no major landfalls, though the broader year saw persistent severe weather risks. Despite an active season elsewhere, 2025 marked the first year since 2015 with no hurricanes making direct landfall in the continental U.S. Only one tropical storm, which was Chantal, made landfall early on this year, resulting in relatively minimal direct hurricane impact. So it was definitely a good thing it wasn't very active this year, but of course, for content, not very good for the storm chasers. So maybe next year it'll be active, but I kind of hope not, just for people's safety. So I will have my hurricane outlook probably, I would say, in April. Stay tuned for that as well. In November, we had the auroras that happened, and this was a photo I took back in November, by the way. I enhanced it a little bit to show the reds and greens vibrantly, but we can see the year featured several notable geomagnetic storms that produced widespread auroras across the U.S. with particularly vivid displays in November. Major events occurred around November 11th through 12th when strong solar activity, including multiple X-class flares and coronal mass ejections, triggered severe geomagnetic conditions, pushing the auroras far south. Sightings extended unusually far south, with reports from states including Florida, Texas, and Georgia marking one of the most extensive and photogenic aurora events of the year. The aurora displays reached G4 level intensity on the magnetic storm scale, allowing vibrant green, red, purple, and even pink hues to be visible across much of the U.S. with multiple nights of activity. So that was very cool to see, and I'm actually looking at getting an astronomical camera to actually capture these in time-lapse format, so definitely stay tuned for that. Now lastly, of course, December. We all know about December. We had a big cold snap that affected much of us here in the beginning parts of the month. And then, of course, here around Christmas time, it got really, really, really warm. It was unusually warm at that, but of course, I'll take it. I like the warm air. And of course, next we have the atmospheric river that caused heavy rainfall and flooding in the Pacific Northwest and California, particularly around Christmas time. An interesting fact is that systems drew from deep tropical moisture resembling historical patterns. A key statistic is rainfall totals of 3 to 7 inches, triggering river overflows and mudslide risks. And last but certainly not least, we had a powerful winter storm that swept across much of the U.S. from December 28th to 29th, delivering blizzards, snow, ice, and severe weather, and even coastal flooding. Interesting fact is that it featured a low pressure center of 998 millibars near Chicago, producing thunderstorms alongside blizzards. Key statistic is heavy snow accumulations and widespread power outages were caused nationwide. So that's 2025 in a nutshell. So this year featured anything from major flooding to severe weather to fires out there in California to some atmospheric rivers to auroras, significant heat waves, a quiet hurricane season, and some major winter storms. So what will 2026 look like? Let me know in the comment section down below, as I think it's going to be another wild year, but that's to be determined. I think we're going to be in an El Nino year to end 2026, but that's to be determined, of course. I think we're going to start out in a weak El Nino and then transition into a little bit of a stronger El Nino. So definitely let me know in the comment section down below your predictions of what we could expect in 2026. I think it's going to be a wild year, y'all, if it's anything like 2025 was. So again, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all of y'all for watching. Enjoy the year. If you're watching this in 2025, just soak it all in. But if you're watching this in 2026, then stick to those New Year's resolutions and just enjoy the year, y'all. Don't make it go too fast. So again, like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate all of y'all for watching, and until next time, never stop forecasting.